Before we begin, viewer discretion is advised. This is for entertainment purposes only.
They are fixing the elections in Texas. But that does not mean that California should fix the elections because of that. Two wrongs don't make a right.
You don't buy what Governor Newsom's saying?
Of course not. Look, I've sat there in Sacramento. I've listened to the politicians for 7 years. They are not interested in giving any power to the people. The only interest that they have is to take power away from the people and grab it themselves. So this gives them a great opportunity by saying, oh, we have to fight Trump. Let's go and get rid of...
Arnold Schwarzenegger just dropped a political dumbbell right on Gavin Newsom's head, and honestly, California hasn't been this entertained since the last blackout. The Terminator seems to have traded biceps for bold opinions. And let's just say Newsom probably wishes Judgment Day had stayed on the big screen. Buckle up when the governor calls you out, in not a debate. It an action-packed roast fueled by protein shakes and pure chaos.
We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. California might need a new state anthem after this, because Arnold Schwarzenegger just remixed the entire political playlist. The guy who once battled killer robots is now taking on government red tape, and somehow, Gavin Newsom wound up as the final boss. You know things are off the rails when the Terminator looks at California and says, I'll be BAC, but only after the taxes chill out.
You know, it's like there's some challenges all over the world. Los Angeles has its challenges. And I hope they solve the challenges very quickly, and that the federal government and the state and the locals all can work together in solving those problems.
I'm sure you're glad you don't have to be a decision maker anymore, or do you wish you were?
I would be more than happy to make those decisions.
It's almost poetic, the Hollywood action hero turned governor turned global eco-warrior taking on the guy whose hair looks like it's campaigning for office. You can practically smell the ego in the air, a potent blend of cologne, ambition, and shattered policy promises.
What's your view in terms of what should happen nationwide when it comes to redistricting?
Well, first of all, in California, it's a big mistake to go and to dismantle and to basically kind of get rid of the Independent Redistricting Commission under the auspices of we got to have more power than the Republicans. And we got to fight Trump.
Arnold didn't just call out Gavin, he staged a full-blown cinematic spectacle. The kind of moment where you half expect him to light a cigar, lean back, and declare that California needs more muscle and less red tape. When the former governor who practically powered the state on charisma and protein powder starts schooling the current one, you know the drama juicier than a Hollywood reboot.
I got much further when I was governor by working together with the Democrats, by letting them know they're not the enemy, that I am a strong believer that if we want to go and make California successful or America successful, we can do this the best possible way by having Democrats and Republicans work together.
Because Gavin Newsom isn't just a politician anymore, he a full-blown brand. His hair has more stability than California budget, and his speeches sound like TED Talks ghostwritten by a PR team paid in oat milk lattes. Yet somehow, it Arnold bringing the real heat, calling out the chaos in the very state he once ran like a gym coach with executive authority.
It is about the United States of America. He doesn't believe in that. He believes in the red states. He's going after, it's a war. He's a wartime president. He's the head of a war party. War on women, war on voting rights, war on Hispanics, a war on this state, war on institutions, war on history. I mean, this is serious. This guy's trying to get a Nobel Peace Prize. That's what he's going to try to say tomorrow in Alaska, that he's the big guy trying to find peace, really? When he's bringing war to the American people?
The best part, Arnold probably didn't even mean to cause an earthquake. He likely tossed out a casual remark about California leadership, and suddenly Sacramento was shaking harder than a 9.0. The man sneezes and pundits treat it like prophecy. You could practically feel the collective eye roll from across the Pacific. Newsom, who spends half his time insisting everything fine, suddenly found himself roasted by the only guy who can make climate change sound like a blockbuster pitch. That's when even Hollywood started asking, wait, whose side are we on? One all about brute force, the other all about calm composure, and both think they're saving the state. The timing couldn't have been more hilarious.
To fight for democracy and to get rid of your democratic principles. It doesn't make any sense. Nothing against Newsom. We don't have a fight over this at all.
Yeah, because you guys met. What was that like when you guys met together?
It was a wonderful meeting. He told me what he felt. I told him, I said, I totally get it, because this is what you need to do to be the leader of the party. I totally get it, but I'm not a party person, I said. I'm a people's person. I always will fight for the power of the people.
Newsom been strutting around as the golden boy of progressive politics, eyeing the national stage, and then bam, Arnold drops a verbal dumbbell right to the jaw. It like California karma showed up wearing sunglasses and a leather jacket. Arnold's whole message was basically, sure, things were wild when I ran this place, but at least people could still afford rent. At this point, Newsom probably wishing for an invisibility cloak, preferably one sustainably made from recycled scandals. Naturally, the internet lost it. Twitter sorry, X split in half. One side flexed in support of Arnold honesty, while the other clung to Newsom like he California last avocado tree. Political memes spread faster than housing prices, and somewhere out there, Elon Musk was no doubt sprinkling popcorn emojis over the chaos. Both men visions feel straight out of Hollywood, one an action blockbuster, the other a documentary insisting everything fine as the lights flicker.
Lastly, Brad, what's Arnie the Terminator up to in California?
So he's upset now about gerrymandering in California and in Texas. There's basically this big back and forth that's going on where in Texas, Republicans are planning on doing mid-decade gerrymandering, which is redrawing the legislative districts to give yourself more seats in Congress by kind of choosing your voters. This is something Democrats have historically been against and wanted to ban, but now they're saying they will do it too in response. So
Arnold's critique wasn't just political, it was personal. You could see he still cares about California, like a guy driving past his old mansion only to find it falling apart under new management. He probably tried to stay quiet, but there's only so much chaos you can watch before your inner Terminator kicks in. Newsom, of course, played it cool the California way, smile, deflect, and start talking about innovation. But let's be real, he had to be fuming inside. Getting publicly called out by Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't something you just shrug off. It like being roasted by the guy who once held your job and somehow made it look fun. And subtlety not Arnold thing. He doesn't whisper criticism, he drops it like a barbell. His version of diplomacy comes wrapped in metaphors about strength, discipline, and the occasional reminder to crush your enemies. One's built like a tank, the other like a luxury electric car, and we all know which one Californians feel stuck with when the power goes out.
Arnold is out here criticizing Trump and Gavin Newsom for doing it. I'm not sure he'll be able to actually do anything about it. It's kind of baked into our political system, but things are fine. Things are going amazing here. We're just kind of in a perpetual race to the bottom of who can take the shadiest step next to kind of rig the political system in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, do we expect anything else from the pin-up boy for stupidity, Newsom? No.
Let's be real, when Arnold calls out Newsom, he also calling out himself. After all, he helped create this circus. He's the founding father of California celebrity politics. Without him, Newsom might still be practicing speeches in front of a mirror. It's a full circle moment, the mentor turned critic, the original showman scolding his successor for forgetting his lines. The irony's thicker than a protein shake. The state that turned politics into a Hollywood franchise is now watching its past and present battle for top billing, the Expendables Sacramento edition. And what better way for Arnold to step back into the spotlight than by throwing a perfectly timed jab at California's reigning king of cool. Meanwhile, Newsom probably pacing in front of a mirror, rehearsing a comeback. But really, how do you clap back at a man who is a meme? You can't outcool Arnold. You can't outfame him. All you can do is hope the next wildfire, flood, or tech scandal comes along fast enough to distract voters before your approval ratings melt faster than ice cream in LA heat.
Even Arnold Schwarzenegger is against what Gavin Newsom is doing in California. And that should tell you something. Here's what's going on in California if you don't know. Gavin Newsom is pushing a plan that would weaken the state's independent redistricting commission. The commission was created to make sure that election maps are fair. No political party rigging the lines. But Newsom's proposal could give more control back to the politicians. And that's where Arnold comes in. Remember, Schwarzenegger is a Republican, but he's not necessarily a Trump guy. Yet even Arnold Schwarzenegger says this move by Newsom is wrong.
Arnold criticism landed because it came from someone who'd been in the trenches. He knows how messy California can get, but he also knows when someone making it harder than it needs to be. His message, though unspoken, was crystal clear. Stop treating the state like a philosophical experiment, and just fix the damn potholes. It's a brutally simple truth. Californians don't want TED Talks about renewable energy while their cars disappear into sinkholes. They want leadership that actually leads, not one that just photographs well for glossy magazine covers. And that where Arnold jab really cuts deep. He's not just mocking policies. He's mocking the entire performance of modern politics, where leaders look like models, talk like motivational speakers, and still can't keep the lights on. That Arnold's secret sauce, that mix of sincerity, absurdity, and pure conviction that made him a legend. You can almost hear him saying, "When I was governor, we lifted California up." And somehow, even when he's exaggerating, it sounds more genuine than half of what today's politicians say with a straight face.
Now, this movie star and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger is preparing to battle Governor Newsom over Newsom's redistricting efforts. Ashley, explain to us how Schwarzenegger is planning to fight against Newsom.
He's back.
The
former governor of California, he's back. He has a beef with the current governor, and he says democracy is at stake. Schwarzenegger is angry with Newsom for planning to redistrict California, who are doing that in response to the same effort.
The media ate it up, naturally. Headlines exploded, pundits dissected every word like it was a title fight. One side hailed Arnold as bold and fearless. The other dismissed him as out of touch. Meanwhile, the rest of America just stared, wondering why California insists on turning its politics into a Netflix drama. But Arnold's moment wasn't just a stunt, it exposed something deeper: California's ongoing identity crisis. The state wants to be everything at once: a moral compass, a climate hero, a tech utopia, yet it can't figure out how to keep gas prices below $7. And Arnold basically said what everyone's been thinking: maybe stop trying to save the world and start by saving California. That his magic, the blend of blunt honesty and movie star swagger that makes him impossible to predict. You can't tell if he's campaigning or trolling, but it doesn't matter because no chart or policy paper can compete with a killer one-liner from the Terminator. Facts are fragile, charisma is forever. And in that arena, Arnold's still undefeated. The tension between him and Newsom is just a reflection of the bigger problem: California's endless tug-of-war between image and reality. The state has mastered the art of looking successful while quietly collapsing under its own weight. Arnold just had the guts to say it out loud, and with enough flair to make it go viral.
But, Christian, you're in California. I have a lot of people here in Australia talking to me about Gavin Newsom, asking what I think about him. And I feel like this is one of those moments that's very revealing about the guy's character. I mean, if he's going to be so petty about this, is everything just going to be this political fight, turning everybody into either friends or enemies?
Yeah, it's a bad look for sure. And it's something he shouldn't really be engaging with. He should just honor the ex-governor, who's obviously a huge movie star and a pop culture icon, and just leave it there. I mean, I think that's magnanimous. I think it's what people want to see.
Somewhere in all the noise, you can almost hear the collective sigh of Californians who've had it with polished incompetence. Arnold became their unfiltered voice, the guy saying what every other politician's PR team would never approve. But don't mistake it for a random outburst. This is strategic. Every word, every smirk, is part of the Arnold Legacy Project. He's reminding people that while the new generation tweets about progress, the old guard actually did things, even if those things sometimes came with budget cuts and a few questionable movie cameos. Still, It impossible not to laugh at the whole spectacle. Two rich, photogenic men duking it out over who loves California more. It basically a beauty pageant for politicians who refuse to age gracefully. One got the tan and the teeth, the other got the muscles and the memories, and the irony that the real entertainment. A man who built his career on pretending to save the world now scolding another man for pretending to save the state. It hypocrisy in high definition, and it absolutely glorious.
And when Arnold speaks, people listen. He literally said that trying to mess with this commission is dangerous for democracy. By the way, we don't live in a democracy, we live in a constitutional republic. Think about that for a second. It's not just Republicans that are criticizing this. Arnold has worked across party lines before, so if even he is against it, you know it's got to be a big deal. At the end of the day, fair maps mean fair elections, and nobody should be afraid of fairness, but I think Gavin Newsom is. That's why Arnold Schwarzenegger is calling out Gavin Newsom's plan, because once you let politicians draw their own lines, the people lose. I agree with Arnold, and I disagree with Gavin Newsom. What do you think?
Arnold might not be running for office, but he definitely running circles around modern politicians when it comes to authenticity. He doesn't need consultants, slogans, or focus groups, he is the slogan. And when he calls out someone like Newsom, the contrast practically writes itself. Newsom talks about progress. Arnold talks about action. Newsom tweets. Arnold lifts. Newsom forms committees. Arnold builds gyms. One polished, the other primal, and in politics, primal tends to win hearts a lot faster. Sure, the media frenzy will fade like every other news cycle, but the image will stick, the former governor smirking while the current one struggles to keep his cool. It's political theater at its finest, unscripted, absurd, and completely believable. Every California leader eventually faces the Terminator judgment, a kind of torch passing. Except the torch is on fire and held by a man who somehow refuses to age. And maybe that's the real takeaway. Politics has become entertainment, and entertainment has become politics. Arnold just blurring the line he helped draw. Newsom may be the sequel, but the original still owns the fanbase.
Schwarzenegger is calling out President Trump as well, saying that gerrymandering is evil, and he used the word evil no matter who does it. It's unclear how hard Schwarzenegger will fight Newsom or what form that opposition could take. A recent picture, though, posted to Instagram showed the former governor wearing a T-shirt that read, "F the politicians, terminate gerrymandering." So we know where he stands.
So while the headlines fade and the next controversy takes center stage, one truth still stands: when Arnold talks, people listen. Not necessarily because he's right, but because he's entertaining. And in California, that often more valuable than being competent. Somewhere out there, a political consultant is probably crying into a kale smoothie, realizing no amount of polling or strategy can outshine raw charisma. Newsom might try to pretend none of this ever happened, but the internet never forgets. That clip of Arnold calling him out will live on forever, a digital monument to California never-ending political soap opera. Because in this state, the explosions aren't just from movie sets anymore. They're real, they're loud, and sometimes they wear sunglasses. And that's how Arnold Schwarzenegger once again became the most talked about man in California without lifting a single weight, just a few eyebrows.
Without lifting